वन्दे गुरुपदद्वन्द्वम् अवाङ्मनसगोचरम् रक्तशुक्लप्रभामिश्रम् अतर्क्यं त्रैपुरम् अहः विशुद्धिज्ञानदेहाय त्रिवेदी दिव्यचक्षुषे श्रेयः प्राप्तिनिमित्ताय नमः सोमार्धधारिणे नमो यामिनीनाथरेखालङ्कृत कुन्तलाम् भवानीं भवसन्तापनिर्वापण सुधानदीम्. So we start the sixth khanda, Shyama Krama. Iyameva Mahati Vidya Simhasaneshwari Samragi Tasyaha Pradhana Sachiva Padam Shyama Tatkrama Vimrishtihi Sadakarya. Now, this particular sutra is important to understand the role of Shyama in the Sri Vidya Upasana. What is the relationship between Sri, that is Lalita, and Shyama, and how the Upasana needs to be approached. Bhagavan, first let's see the Sutra Artha, then we will go into the Vyakhyana. Bhagavan says, Iyam eva Mahati Vidya Simhasaneshwari Samragi. Iyam, this refers to Purvokta Vidya in the previous Panchama Khanda, whatever has been described. Iyam eva, so that Sri Vidya eva. Mahati Vidya, she is the highest or the greatest. Mahati Vidya. Simhasaneshwari, one who occupies the Simhasana. Simhasana Ishwari. Samragi. Samragi is the Strilinga form for Samrat. Okay, the emperor. So she is the empress. Samragi. Tasyaha Pradhana Sachiva Padam Shyama. So relationship between Sri Lalita and Shyama is that Shyama or Rajashyamala, as we call her, is Tasyaha Pradhana Sachiva Padam, is the one who occupies the position or the post of Pradhana Sachiva, the chief minister. Sachiva means minister. Pradhana Sachiva means the chief minister or the prime minister, let's say. Chief minister, the prime minister. Okay. So in the hierarchy, after the king or the queen comes the prime minister. Tasyaha Pradhana Sachiva Padam Shyama. Therefore, Tatkrama Vimrishtihi. Tatkrama means Shyama Krama. Shyama Kramasya Vimrishtihi. One should follow or one should engage in the Vimrishti. Vimrishti means Vimarshanam. Okay, in reflection. One should reflect upon or one should practice Tatkrama, Shyama Krama. That is, one should follow the Shyama Krama. Sadakarya, always. Okay. Now, let us see the special usage of certain padas here, some words here in this particular sutra. So, when Bhagavan says, Iyameva Mahati Vidya Simhasaneshwari Samragi. So, he has already described in detail the mantra and the Upasana Paddhati, the Saparya Paddhati of Sri Lalita. Just to drive home the point very firmly in the minds of all the Upasakas, that no matter what other forms of Devatopasti the sadhaka may like to indulge in, he should always remember that his Mula Vidya is Srimad Panchadashakshari. So, the Pradhana Devata or the Pradhana Aradhya Devata of the Upasaka is Sri Lalita Mahatripura Sundari. All the other Devata Swarupas have to be born in the sadhaka's mind that they are like the Rashmis, the term that Bhagavan already used earlier. They are like the rays emanating from Sri Lalita herself. So there is one Avinabhava Sambandha between the Pradhana Devata and the other Devatas. So that one should not lose one's one's sight upon. So we should never think whether whatever Devata Upasana we are, some may have certain Ishta Devata Upasana. Okay, for me, Ganapati may be the Ishta Devata. For some, Dakshina may be the Ishta Devata. Whatever be the Devatas, Visesha. We all have to say, or we all have to know and understand that it is the same Lalita who manifests herself as Sri Mahaganapati. The same Lalita whom we are worshipping as Dakshina Kalika herself. Okay. Now, this is from the very top level view. Okay. Where we are trying to establish and complete Avinabhava Sambandha or an Abhedabhava. Sorry, it's not Avinabhava, it's Abhedabhava. A complete Abhedabhavana between the various manifestations of the Devatas. So, this Lalita Mahatripura Sundari, she is Mahati Vidya. Mahati means Niravadika Mahatvavati. One whose mantra or whose upasana doesn't have anything beyond or anything higher than. So that is the highest form of upasana. So one should always keep this in mind after we have all received the Diksha, that we are initiated into the very highest form of mantra. Let us not even mentally contemplate or even think or have or entertain any doubts regarding the efficacy of the Panchadashakshari Vidya. Whether it is Shuddha Panchadashakshari or the Saubhagya Panchadashakshari, whatever. One should not think that Panchadashakshari Vidya, then higher than Panchadashakshari is Shodashakshari. Then there is something called Parashodashi. So it's not gradation as we generally understand gradations in a corporate setup. It's not a hierarchy there amongst the mantras. Panchadashakshari itself is more than sufficient to bestow the pakwa required for getting the samyak darsha or the jnana. Okay? Because generally we don't try to use terms like moksha and all those things. The moksha is nothing but attainment of the samyak jnana or samyak drishti. So Srimad Panchadashakshari itself is more than sufficient for that. The other Uttara mantras are only to substantiate and hasten the procedure. Okay. So that is one thing. So we are in possession of a Mahati Vidya. All right. So that confidence we should all have in our mantra. Because if we don't have confidence in our mantra, then the upasana is off or it will not bear its fruit. So in the mantra, in the devata, in the guru, we should have an achanchala bhakti and shraddha. Without these three, the upasti does not bear any fruit. Okay. Then the second adjective that Bhagavan uses is Simhasaneshwari. Now this is a very technical explanation which we find in the Lalita Sahasranama Bhashya, and even more technical explanation we can find in the texts like Sri Vidya Pancha Simhasana mantras. We come across the 5 kinds of Simhasana mantras, 5 devatas, okay, were responsible. But at the end of the thing, what is the Simhasana? Simhasana has basically 4 uh, legs and a plank. Okay, these 4 legs and the plank refers to the Panchakrityas: Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhana, and Anugraha. So when we say Simhasana Ishwari, she is beyond the Panchakrityas, and by whose will, okay, by whose Swatantra Shakti, the Panchakrityas happen or take place. So she is Simhasana Ishwari, the one who is beyond and at the same time responsible for the Jagat Srishti Sthiti Samhara Tirodhana and Anugraha. That is why the difference between the other darshanas and our Siddhanta is here Parashiva is not only transcending the world, but he is also the world. In the other darshanas, the Brahma or Parabrahma is transcendental in nature. Whereas here, Parashiva is both transcendental in nature and also the world that we experience is but his own manifestation. Vishwatita-vishwamaya. He is both. So the term Simhasaneshwari denotes this aspect of the Parachaitanya, that it is both Vishwatita and it is Vishwamaya. Samragi, the empress, in the sense one who possesses the absolute, okay, willpower, whose Ichha, okay, or one whose free will is not questioned or cannot be questioned. So because of which this entire Srishti takes place. That is why our vada is called as a Leela vada. Our theory of causation is called as Leela vada. In the sense, why did this or how did this creation come into existence? By the will of Parashiva himself. That's all. It was his Leela. Okay, so she's Samragi, one who possesses the absolute free will. And this is the Swarupa of Parachaitanya or Lalita Mahatripa Sundari, okay, as Parasamvit. The Rajashyamala or Shyama, she is Tasyaha Pradhana Sachiva Padam. She represents her Pradhana Sachiva Padam. Pradhana Sachivatvam, Prime Ministership, here refers to the functions in the Jagat, in the in the Srishti and Sthiti Avastha. For the functioning of the Jagats, whatever has to be carried out, she does it through the Pradhana Sachiva. That is why in the Namavali Archana, when we are doing for Shyama, there will be one name, okay, Mudrinyai Namaha. See, at the end of the Saparya, we have first we do the Vartali Namarchana, okay, then we do the Sangita Shyamala Namarchana, and finally these 16 names of Lalita. So Lalita Namarchana we do. In the Sangita or in the Shyama Namarchana, there will be one name by name Mudrinyai Namaha. Mudrini means one who possesses the signet ring. Generally, the signet ring is the sign of the authority of the king. So, that signet ring would be used to sign off important documents. That actually it's like it's the authority, okay, or the sign of the authority. So, whoever possesses the signet ring possesses the authority to issue any orders. Now, Lalita Mahatripura Sundari, as per the Lalitopakhyana, after the Bandasara incident, she hands over all the responsibility to Rajashyamala. And she also gives her the signet ring. That is how she gets the name Mudrinyai Namaha. So she is the Pradhana Sachivatvam. We will wait for the next sutra as to why Bhagavan gives this particular reference here. So, Tasyaha Pradhana Sachiva Padam Shyama. Tatkrama, Shyama Krama. Vimrishtihi Sadakarya. An Upasaka should always do the Vimrishti, the contemplation or practice of Shyama's Upasana. So, that is the meaning of this particular sutra. Now, when we say Shyama Krama, why at all should we do Shyama Krama if we are already doing Lalita Krama? If I am already approaching the king, why should I bother to approach the minister afterwards? If there is nothing that the king can do, or sorry, cannot do, which the minister can do, right? If that were the case, it would make some sense to go to the minister. When I can directly approach the king, why approach the minister? That's a question. So to answer that question, Bhagavan gives the second sutra. He says, Pradhana Dwara Raja Prasadanam hi Nyayam. Pradhana Dwara. It is a practice in the world that Pradhana Dwara, it is through the minister or through the principal secretary that Raja Prasadanam, one can easily please the king. So, Pradhana Dwara Raja Prasadanam hi Nyayam. So, Bhagavan gives the Laukika example to tell us that, look, generally, if you have to get some job done from the minister or from the king, the usual protocol would be that it would be directed through the minister and the minister directly puts it across to the king. So, rather than directly approach the king, it is much easier to approach the king via the minister. Same logic when we extend here, it would make more sense if one completes the Upasana of Rajashyamala and then approach Lalita Mahatripura Sundari in her Upasana. Now, this brings us to a very important question. If that be the case, this is something that we don't see in practice. Because even those who are practicing the Upasana or the Mantra Japa of Lalita-Shyama or even Varahi for that matter, they are doing it only after receiving the Panchadashakshari mantra. Whereas, if we go by the route suggested by Bhagavan, it should be that one should start the Upasana of Lalita-Shyama first, and we are going to see the Varahi next. Okay, so the same thing applies there also. So after completing the Upasana of Lalita-Shyama, we move on to Varahi and then start the Upasti of Sri Lalita. But this is something that we don't generally see in practice, at least as of today. So again, it brings us to a question. What is the meaning of the Shama or Varahi Upasti? Is it Sangopanga Upasti? In the sense, when we speak of Rajashamala Upasana, do we mean merely Mantra Japa, or is it like for Ganapati and Lalita, everything connected with Rajashamala? That is, starting from the Sandhya, Gurupadaka, okay, and then the Mantra Japa, followed by the Saparya, that is Rajashamala Saparya, okay, followed by its Anga Upanga Pratyanga Devata as a Purashcharana. So, what do we mean, or what does Bhagavan mean here by the term Tatkrama Vimrishtihi in the previous sutra? Is it merely Mantra Japa, or whether it is the Purashcharana? Because we have very clear indication, okay, that the Purashcharana for Rajashamla has to be done. And the Sankhya is also, or the number is also very clearly indicated as 1 lakhs. Being Kali Yuga, it will become 4 lakhs. Okay. So 4 lakh Japa, Dashamsha, everything. Okay. So till that time, one completes the Purashcharana. He uses or he follows the Shyama Krama exclusively, or does one merely use the Shyama as a Shyamala mantra for a part of his Anushtana? That is only for the Japa. Now the answer for this is, see, Bhagavan is only suggesting the right way to do, but he has left the option to the Guru to decide what is best for the Sishya. So, in the second sutra, when he says iti nyayam, it will be most appropriate if one starts the Rajashamala Upasana. When we say Upasana, it means everything, right from the Sandhya Upasana, okay, then the Purashcharana of Ekalaksha, okay, the requisite puja or Saparya, till he completes that Ekalaksha. Same thing applies for the Varahi also. Varahi also, one has to do the same, okay, the Saparya, 1 lakh Japa, Purashcharana, etc. And then alone come to Sri Krama. This will be the ideal path to take. But if the Guru decides that this is not necessary, then they can directly approach, or he can directly start the Lalita Upasti directly and use only the Rajashamla and Varahi, okay, for mantra japa. I can only say with the with respect to, or with reference to what my Shri Guru practiced, Rajashamla and Varahi, Purashcharanam was left as an optional. It was not made mandatory. For that matter, even Purashcharana was not made mandatory. Only the Japa Sankhya was prescribed. Okay? Because Purashcharana, when we speak about Purashcharana in texts like Nitya Shodashakarnava Bhashya, Bhaskar Raya clearly establishes that to be a kind of a Samya Prayoga. Okay? So, in practice, that is what it is. So, the Rajashamla and Varahi were only used as, okay, only used for Japa. And during their Navaratras, we would do the Saparya. But on a personal experience, it makes a lot of difference in the way we see, in the way we approach the Lalitopasti when we have done the proper Purashcharana of Varahi and Rajashamla. So, this I speak to you based on my personal experience. So, when we do the Rajashamla, Purashcharana, Chaturlaksha Japa and all those, same with respect to Varahi, Chaturlaksha Japa, and the kind of Paripaka and the kind of the anubhava that we have is something that we can experience only by following the practice. And it really puts us on a fast track mode. In the sense, when we say fast track mode, what I mean is the way things or new ideas or emerges in one's own understanding of the entire procedure when we have completed the due process. At the end of the day, let's be very clear. These are upasanas. Okay, upasana is once again a karma, manasika karma. One, there are certain kayika karma also, physical activities also involved here. Whether it is physical activity or whether it is the mental activity, actions or karma does not have a direct implication on the samyak darshana or samyak jnana, which alone bestows us the pratyabhijna, okay, of our own essential nature. But these are very, very important because they are responsible for attuning our mind. They are responsible for making our mind more and more receptive to the various ideas or the various thoughts or the various revelations. So, one should always consult one's guru and do whatever is necessary. So, Bhagavan has made it, has left the option, okay, to the guru to decide whether it should be Rajashamla, Varahi, and 10th Lalita, or directly Lalita itself. So, that is the summary of the first two sutras. And this is something which has been there, not now, but it has been there in practice even for a very, very long time. That these two schools of thought with respect to the upasti has been prevalent. Okay. Then, We move on to the third sutra. Pratah Krityam Sandhyan Brahme Muhurte cha Utthaya Shayane Sthitva Eva Shri Padakam Pranamya Prananayamya Muladi Dwadashanta Paryantam Jwalantim Parasamvidam Vichintya Manasa Moolam Trishaha Japtva Bahir Nirgatya Vimukta Mala Mutro Dantadhavana Jikvagharshana Kapha Vimochana Nasa Shodhana Vimshati Gandushan Vidhaya. So, how to do this? Bhagavan says, go and refer to Dharma Shastras and other tantras. Okay, how you should do your Dantadhavanam analysis. Because in Tantrika Paddhati also there are mantras for Dantadhavanam. Okay, we use the Kama or Kandarpa Vidya for the other is Kama Vidya. Okay, the mantra of Kama. Okay, for brushing of the teeth, and for the four Lakshmi mantra for washing the face, etc. So he says Brahme Muhurte cha Utthaya. Once again, this is a standard thing. One should get up during the Brahma Muhurta. Okay. Shayane Sthitva Eva Sri Padakam Pranamya. While one is in the bed itself. So let's not have any doubt whether you can do this sitting on the bed and all those things. It's very, very clear cut. No, it has been openly stated in the sutra. Okay. So Shayane Sthitva Eva. While seated on the bed itself. Sri Padakam Pranamya. Sri Padaka means Guru Padaka. There is no difference between Guru and Shri. So Sri Padakam Pranamya. Prananayamya. One should perform 3 times the pranayama. The general ratio for pranayama is 1:4:2. Okay, but the Shyama mantra and all those things are long mantras. To do the kumbhaka for 4 counts of the mantra, one really needs to have a lot of lung power. Okay, so as an avara paksha, it can also be done as 1:3:2. Okay, so whatever is convenient, one can follow that. So prananayamya. Muladi dwadashanta paryantam. Mula means Mooladhara. Mooladhara adi, starting from the Mooladhara. Dwadashanta paryantam. Till the Dwadashanta, till the Brahmarandra. Or slightly above Brahmarandra actually. Dwadashanta is. Jwalantim parasamvidam vichintya. The parasamvit, okay, who is there as the Mula Kundalini, okay, or Chit Kundalini. When she reaches the Dwadashanta, she becomes Parakundalini. Okay. So Tam Vichintya, contemplating upon her. Manasa Moolam Trishaha Japtva. So one should do the Moola Mantra. Okay, Avartan. One should repeat the Moola Mantra in one's own mind. Trishaha. Bahir Nirgatya. Then one should basically, because of the older times, all the other morning ablutions were done outside the house. So Bahihi Nirgatya. Vimukta Mala Mutro Dantadhavana Jikvagharshana Kapha Vimochana Nasa Shodhana Vimshati Gandushan Vidhaya. So all these, okay, Vimukta Mala Mutra, then Dantadhavana, brushing, Jikvagharshana, cleaning the tongue, Kapha Vimochana, okay, clearing the phlegm, Nasa Shodhana, clearing the nose, Vimshati Gandushan, and 20 times one has to do the Gandusha. Gandusha is, I don't know if there's an English term for Gandusha. Hindi, it's called as Kulla Karna. Okay. I don't know how to say that in English. All right. It's not gargling or anything. So Vimshati Gandushan Vidhaya.